Welcome to our CSUB AV online tutorial channel. The video for today is to welcome our new spring 2022 incoming transfer students. Welcome runners. Here is our advising team at CSUB AV. My name is Leah Anton. I am the staff advisor at the satellite campus. And these are Melissa and Selena. You will see either them when you do your advising or you see their names on the paperwork for your upcoming advising appointments. So I wanted you to be able to put a face to those names. The way that advising works at the AV satellite campus is we have staff advisors that meet with all of our majors: criminal justice, sociology, CAVS, liberal studies, business, interdisciplinary studies, natural science, foundational, and our religious studies. But in addition to the staff advisors, you also have access to some faculty advisors depending on your majors. The way the advising works is on your very first appointment at CSUB AV, you will meet with a staff advisor to go over a lot of information that helps you with the transition from your community college to a CSU. And then after the first advising appointment that you have with a staff advisor, any future terms, you will be able to meet with your faculty advisor specific to your major. When you make your advising appointment, which is going to be through Runner Connect, we do ask that you include your email address in the comments. It just helps us be able to send your paperwork faster. And to confirm, we have the right email as well. These are your faculty advisors. So if you are a child, adolescent, or in family studies major, we call it CAVS. Your faculty advisor is Dr. Reed. If you are a criminal justice major, your faculty advisor is Dr. Taylor. If you're a religious studies major, your advisor is Dr. Lamas. And if you're a sociology advisor, you may have either Professor Gibson or Professor Sanchez assigned as your faculty advisor. Sociology is our biggest undergraduate major, which is why we have two faculty advisors for you guys. My little Bitmoji office is at the bottom of every email you get from me. So the reason I'm pointing it out is because there's a lot of information in there that comes very handy. For example, on the little bulletin board, there's usually information on walk-ins or upcoming events and dates that you may need to know. And I'll point a couple of things out in here. So the bulletin board, very important. Usually the one that you might use the most is going to be the class override request whenever the system is not finding one of your prerequisites because it doesn't have a final grade yet, or because it wasn't articulated correctly and we're in the process of fixing it. Any of those situations, you'll need the class override request, which you can find right there on the little desk. If you're running into technical issues with your account, you can click on the IT help links here for the tutoring center, the NetTutor account, the campus calendar, scheduling an appointment, information on the GWAR exam, more tutorial videos, commencement and graduation, so on and so forth. There's a lot of information here. So I might refer you to my Bitmoji office as needed, but if you have time to play around with it, see where those links take you, that's perfectly fine as well. Speaking of tutoring, we do have AV tutors available both on campus, face-to-face, as well as available through Zoom. Currently, our writing tutor is Allison, and our sociology tutor is Lauren. They have all their information in there, as well as some resources that they might find you need, and so they might send you to the Bitmoji office for those. You can also do an appointment with them through Runner Connect if you want to meet with a tutor, or you can do walking hours, which means you just show up and ask your questions. For tutoring, besides writing and sociology, all of our students have access to nettutor.com, which is an online tutoring service. The online tutoring service for nettutor.com will continue virtually even when we go back fully on campus. I know we're almost back fully for this spring, but these tutoring services will continue to be available online. The way that you access your account is you first have to register. Just go to nettutor.com/CSUBNT create your account, pick a username, first name, last name, and then very important, you have to use your CSUB email address because CSUB is already paying for your NetTutor account. If you go a different way or you don't use your CSUB email, it's going to ask you for payment. We don't want to do that. So make sure you use that link and that you use your CSUB email so that you have access to those free services that the university already paid for. They have professional tutors with at least a bachelor's degree, but most of them have a master's and PhD. They do live video, audio, or chat, and they also accept drop-off questions or drop-off papers. What we're going to do today is we are going to review a little bit of your student portal. We're going to check out your registration holds, your to-do list, registration appointment. I'm going to give you a quick overview on how to do class searches, specifically for the AV satellite campus, but also how to do searches for your general education requirements. When we do your one-on-one appointment, that is when we will talk about your classes, specifically your plan for graduation. Everything in this information session applies to everyone. It's a general information, but it is needed so that we can devote the one-on-one time with specific questions about your classes and your requirements. Okay, so a couple of announcements. Registration for incoming transfers for the spring term will begin November 22nd. Prior to November 22nd, so if you're meeting with an advisor before November 22nd, you are able to search for classes and put them in your shopping cart, but you are not able to add them just yet. Most of the classes may continue to be virtual for spring 2022, depending on your major. Some majors are 80% back face-to-face. Some majors are the opposite. They're 80% back, but fully virtual. So depending on your major, you may or may not need to be on campus. Once you start doing your class searches, you'll figure that out. Tuition for every term is always due Thursday before school starts, regardless of when you register for classes. So we always recommend students to register as soon as possible. We do try to clear your advising hold at the time that we send your paperwork so that you can add yourself into classes. If your appointment is after November 22nd, do not wait to add your classes based on the advising paperwork that we provide you. When you meet with an advisor, you'll have a chance to double check those classes and make adjustments as needed. We also have walking advising available for students who have quick questions. Let's say you already met with an advisor, but something else came up that you didn't get to ask. You can go through the Little Bitmoji office Monday through Friday, 12 to 1, and Selena, who I showed you her picture at the beginning, she is available to do quick questions based on your academic advising. If you haven't met with an advisor yet, we do not recommend that you come in for walking advising because advising for walk-ins is supposed to be really, really quick. They are one-on-one meetings, but they're meant for quick questions. They're not meant for full appointments. You're going to notice that your advising appointment is scheduled for a whole hour. It doesn't mean we'll take a whole hour, but we have students who do, depending on your questions, do take the entire hour to review information. So walk-ins, if you haven't met with anyone yet, not available to you, but if you met with someone and forgot to ask something, definitely come back for walk-ins. Registration problems, probably by the time that you meet with an advisor, you'll figure those out. But any errors, we're probably going to recommend that you do and fill out the class override request, which is in the Little Bitmoji office. Okay. You should know for academic advising at the AV satellite campus, we use what we call the degree audit. It is also called the academic requirements page on your My CSUB account. So when you go into your student portal, you're going to see a drop-down menu there that says other academic, and it has 3 dots on it. It's a drop-down menu. You select academic requirements, and then you click on the little double arrows, and it takes you to a list of requirements for the degree that has things already marked as done and things already marked as needed. And this is based on the transfer evaluation that the university has done for your student records. We use this instead of a manual ed plan that most of you are used to doing with your counselors at the community college. The benefit of the degree audit is that it automatically includes coursework in progress, and it automatically updates when your grades are posted, as opposed to having to meet with someone to manually input your grades into an ed plan or input what courses you're taking on a specific area. So when you click on the academic requirements page, you're going to see a bunch of classes. And again, they're going to have little symbols on the side. So I'm going to quickly review what these symbols are. If you have a check mark or a purple triangle, that normally means that this section has already been met. It's a course that you've completed and you got a passing grade for it, and therefore you don't need to worry about this requirements anymore. If you have courses in progress at CSUB, so this doesn't work for courses in progress at the community college, but it does work in the CSUB ones. The courses are listed with a yellow diamond, and the courses that are listed as needed have the little red square. Now, when we do your advising paperwork, if we notice something is needed, but you're actually taking the course at the community college, we'll make a note. We'll put it right next to the needed part and we'll say pending final grade, so that you are aware, yes, you're needing this, but you're actually, as long as you pass the class this term, it's going to be completed. So we will not be doing your course recommendations on classes that we believe you're going to have met by the time you start in the spring term. These are your typical upper division general education requirements for all students coming in to CSUB. And I'm listing the AV one specifically, but all CSU students have to do these requirements. We have an upper division science, an upper division arts and humanities, an upper division social science, a diversity class, a capstone class, and there is a lower division one, which is pretty new. It's not part of the upper divisions, but it's the ethnic studies requirement that most of you, unless you have catalog rights from previous catalog term, will be required to do. We'll review which of these you need to do, but this is, again, general information, just giving an overview. Any of you who have completed the lower division versions of these still need the upper division version to complete them. And we'll make that note when we do your one-on-one advising paperwork. The graduation writing assessment, it's an upper division writing requirement. You can fulfill this requirement by either taking a class or taking a proficiency exam. Again, this is upper division, so you've done a lower division English writing. Now you come here after transferring, you do an upper division writing class. The English 3109, it's a course that is offered every term and it's normally fully online. The English 3119, it's a class that counts for both your graduation writing assessment and your junior year diversity reflection. It is offered in the spring term. It is a Zoom class, so it's not fully online, but it's still virtual for those of you who still want the interaction and the lectures, the live lectures, and the being able to meet with your classmates and your instructors. Both of these classes are available for this spring term if you want to take these right away. If you're considering the exam, there is usually a $25 fee associated with taking the exam. If the exam is to be done in person, is normally on a Saturday. It is available at the AV campus, but it's on a Saturday, so just keep that in mind. If they have the possibility of doing this online, it will be done through Zoom. They haven't given us updates on that yet. My little Bitmoji office does have a link to the testing center there so that you can click on it and find the most updated information if you're interested in the GWAR exam. The graduation application is always due a year in advance, either by June or November, depending on which term you are graduating. There is a $70 fee associated with applying for graduation, and everyone, as soon as you earn 84 units, you get an email that says you're eligible to apply. You still don't apply for graduation until that year in advance deadline. So in your paperwork, we'll make sure to let you know this is around the time you should be applying for graduation. So don't get too trigger happy when you see that email that says you're eligible to apply. It simply means you've earned 84 units, and they send that email to everyone with those amount of units. In your advising paperwork, we will always include a unit grid. That's what we call it. And this is just to help you understand not only your academic requirements, your course requirements, but also your unit requirements. Everyone has to meet a particular number of units in order to graduate from a CSU. It is 120 units that you need. However, out of these 120 units, no more than 70 can come from a community college. So you're going to see in your transfer units, if we put 70 here, is because all of your units come from a community college, and we know that 70 is the max. Even if you took way more than 70, 70 is the max. If you're bringing in other transfer credit, for example, you took AP exams or CLEP exams, or you attended another university, we will list those here under other to make sure that we do take them into account. When we add these two up, however, we cannot exceed 90 units. And the reason for that is because of what we call residency units. You're supposed to do a minimum of 30 units at CSUB in order to graduate from CSUB. So 120 minus the 30 you have to do here, it ends up being 90, the cap between the two, whether again it's community college, AP, CLEP, other university. We will compare these transfer units, will tell us how many your total is, and then we will compare that to how many coursework or courses you still need based on your degree audit. So we will review how many you need, and depending on how many you need, it will tell us if you need what we call university electives or not. So these are the two that you're looking at, the highlights. We try to highlight things to make it a little more obvious. These are the ones that you're looking at. So we're going to highlight the coursework that is needed. So if we count, for example, in this case, let's say you have 10 classes and each class is worth 10 units. You have 30 units of required coursework, but your unit tally says you're going to need at least 35. Well, 30 will be part of your required classes and 5 will be part of what we call university electives, just to meet those 120 minimum. We will also review your upper division units. Upper division units are coursework taking at a university level. These are called junior and senior level classes. You can tell them apart because they are listed in your CSUB degree audit requirements in the 3,000 and 4,000 levels. So 3,010, 3,005, doesn't matter. 4,099. It will continue to be 3,000, 4,000 level. All of those courses need to add up to a minimum of 40 to meet graduation requirements. We will help you keep track of those, as well as keeping track of those residency units we mentioned. If you've ever taken courses at CSUB, we're going to note those there. If you haven't, you're going to notice this is going to say 0. If this is your very first semester, that is normal. Okay. You will take courses here later. There are different areas that we check your GPA. You are required to have a 2.0 minimum in all areas in order to graduate from CSUB. You need the CSUB GPA, which is just classes taken at CSUB, your major GPA, which counts anything in your major, whether you took it somewhere else or you took it here, everything that counts towards your major. Your minor, if you have one, also needs to be above a 2.0. And then your overall GPA includes everything you've done elsewhere and here, major, minor, electives, the whole thing. And the minimum is 2.0. I know some students approach me and go, are you sure it's not a 3? No, it's a 2.0. As long as you have a 2.0 in all of those areas, your GPA is considered to be meeting the standards for the academic degree. Keeping in mind GPAs, we moved on to the grading differences between the community college and the CSU system. The CSU system uses a plus and minus grading system. What that means is that you don't just get, in a lot of community college, you get either an A, B, C, or D. Here, you can have a C plus or a C minus, a B plus or a B minus, a D plus or a D minus. And in that does affect your overall GPA. What grades you need for a particular class depends on the course that you are talking about. In some of your majors, they require a C- or better. In some other majors, the grade is irrelevant. So you have to look at the university catalog's description of the course to find out whether you need a particular grade on a specific class. In some cases, let's say for your upper division science, a D could be considered passing. However, remember that we need an average of a 2.0 in all those different areas in order to graduate. So if you have too many Ds, even though they might be considered passing, it could bring you to have a GPA of below a 2.0 because a D average is a 1.0, a C average is a 2.0. They still have to average out to a C between all of your courses in order to remain in good standing at CSUB. In your very first semester, because we have one of the GPAs we're talking about is your CSUB GPA. On your very first semester, you do not have a previous GPA. This is brand new. So if you take, for example, 4 classes and you get C's in most of them, but you have 1 C-, you're going to notice that a C- is a 1.7. Now, most of them are 2.0, but because of that 1.7, your GPA is going to end up below a 2.0, which puts you on academic probation. So pay attention to your very first semester. We are not going to recommend that you do more than what you're used to while you test the waters. So if you are used to taking 2 classes per term, stick to 2 classes per term on your first semester. If you're used to 5, 6 classes per term, then go with your 5 and 6 classes per term. The university will not require you to complete a certain amount of classes on your very first term. It is a choice you make on your own. An advisor can help you make that choice. Our recommendation tends to be stick to what works for you. If 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 classes work for you, that's what we're going to recommend. And then we'll help you estimate a graduation date based on that type of enrollment. Okay. Credit, no credit classes do not affect your GPAs, any of them. There are very few in this regard, usually some internships and some classes that are only listed as pass or fail. Most of your classes in your major and in your GEs will be letter grade. Very important, you have to submit final transcripts by January 15th. That is your deadline. Final transcripts means all of your grades are posted. There is no pending grades at that point. If you are enrolled for winter or later, let's say you're taking additional classes later on, you can submit new transcripts at the end of each of those terms, but they do not replace the January 15th deadline for your fall grades, okay? You will end up with a registration hold if you miss that January 15th deadline, so make sure once your grades are posted on your community college that you submit transcripts. Registration for fall, it's going to begin sometime around April or May. That's usually when you see those registration holds come on that prevent you from enrolling into future terms if you're missing transcripts. Remember to request to have your full GE certification awarded in those January 15th transcripts. If you are fulfilling your GE certification, the only students we normally don't require this from is our liberal studies students because they follow a different GE pattern. And all of you, except for liberal studies, will need to have your associate degree for transfer awarded as of fall 2021 or earlier, because your spring admission was pending that associate degree for transfer being awarded. The only one's exception for that is the liberal studies major, because again, they follow a different GE pattern than our other majors. Extremely important. If you've been admitted to spring, you have to enroll for spring in order to continue to be eligible to enroll in future semesters. So your admission is specific to your admission term. Not attending on your admission term means you decided you're not coming to CSUB, you decided to go somewhere else, who knows. But as soon as you don't enroll in your first semester, They simply deactivate your application to the university, and if you want to enroll in a future term, you'll have to reapply. If you do enroll in classes, you don't have to reapply for future terms. They just assume you will continue your education until you finish. The only time that you could lose what we call catalog rights is if you start attending, but then stop attending for like a year, and then your requirements may be different if that is the case. But very important, enroll for your spring term. If you cannot enroll for your spring term, or if you enroll but then drop your classes, just be aware you will need to reapply to the university in order to attend either a fall 22 or spring 23 or whenever you are ready to come back. Tuition fees and financial aid. So this is just some general information on how tuition fees work at CSUB. Mainly is we don't pay per individual unit like you do in most community colleges. We pay per block of units. The two blocks are either more than 6 units or less than 6 units. Now, one of them says 0 to 6, but if you're not enrolled in any classes, you don't owe any money to the university. So I think what they mean is like if you had a 0.5 unit or something, which we don't. So if you're looking at 1 through 6 units, your tuition fees are about $2,500 per semester and about $5,000 per year. The reason they give you the total for the year is because when financial aid gives you an award, they give you the award with the amount for the year. So that's why they give you this information. You are still paying on a semester by semester basis. So if one semester you enrolled in less than 6 units and the other semester you enrolled in more than 6 units, you don't have to pay the higher tuition fee for both. You just pay exactly what you enroll for that particular semester. If you haven't yet applied for FAFSA, the application period is always October 1st through March 2nd. Because you're coming in for this spring, the FAFSA for the 22 spring semester would have been the same as the one for last fall. It is possible you use your FAFSA for your community college. All you have to do is add CSUB as an institution to your financial aid so that your spring aid can come to CSUB. That is our federal school code in case you need it. But again, you don't have to reapply to FAFSA. You just add the institution, CSUB, as an institution that you'll be attending for the spring term. Website and resources. So a lot of resources are available online. Your main go-to website is always going to be csub.edu because that is the university's website. But I do have quite a bit of shortcuts in my little Bitmoji office in case you need them. You can also save these websites into your browser as your favorites so that you don't have to look for them anymore. For example, my.csub.edu is your student portal. You can see it on my little Bitmoji office with that icon, my CSUB. Runner Connect is the platform we use for all appointments, advising, and tutoring. You can just, again, add this runnerconnect.csub.edu or look for the little schedule an appointment icon in my office, the directory, any contact information you need for any faculty or staff at CSUB, csub.edu/directory. So you can see the csub.edu tends to be the root menu right there for anything that you're going to need. If you're looking at your department's website, it's usually just / the name of your department, sociology, criminal justice, CAFS, liberal studies only does lib studies, just be aware, and BPA is for our business and public administration student. So you can just do / that, and then it takes you to that department's website. Or your email. A lot of students have trouble figuring out how to get to their CSUB email. Well, you can either save this link, o365.csub.edu. You can go to my little Bitmoji and just click on that little Outlook icon right there. Or you can download the Outlook app on your desktop or your phone, and then just log in with your CSUB login info, and then you'll be able to get your emails directly through those apps. And then for anything for the satellite campus, you just do the /AV and you can find our services, office hours, anything AV specific. Okay, hoping this little shortcuts will come in handy very soon. So we're going to go to your student portal. That's the my.csub.edu website. It takes you here. You need your net ID, which is normally your first initial, your last name, and then a number or two, depending on how many other people have your same initial and last name. And then if you haven't set up your account yet, you just click on the Need Help link on the very top. But there is also some screenshots on the how-to guides right there. And then as soon as you know your net ID and your password, you just click on sign in. That takes you straight to your student center. That's what they call it. And there's some very important information on the right-hand side here. For example, your holds. Registration holds prevent you from registering into classes. Possible holds that you can have here are your student financial services. Usually this means you owe money to the university. The student financial agreement, I know they sound similar, but they're different. The agreement is simply a disclaimer on how tuition fees work. Make sure you read it thoroughly and understand if and when you're responsible for paying tuition fees. The advising hold, you should all have that one prior to your first meeting with an advisor. We try to clear this as soon as we send you your advising paperwork so that you can register as soon as possible. If we miss clearing your hold prior to your advising appointment, just let your advisor know and we'll go ahead and take care of that for you. Probation holds would only come on your account if your CSUB or your overall GPA have fallen below a 2.0. The judicial affairs hold is a sexual harassment training that we have to do on a yearly basis. It's based on the academic year, not the calendar year. So for some of you coming in for the spring term, you'll have to do it for spring, and then fall, it's a new academic year. So it feels like you're doing it every semester because you came in at the end of this academic year and now you're going into the beginning of the next academic year. So just be aware. That's what that is. The health services hold has to do with immunization records that are needed from all of our students. They will specify, each hold will specify what vaccination that hold is for, like rubella, TB, mumps, so on and so forth. So just pay attention to those in there. Okay, things on your to-do list. These have mostly to do with your financial aid, the whole household size, IRS data retrieval, income verification. There is a few that have to do with your transcripts, for example, your final transcripts, and the ADT confirmation from when your associate degree for transfer is awarded. Those are the main things you want to look for. Again, holds and to-do list. Things in the message center. This is not your email. I get that a lot. I thought my emails would come through here. No, these are some university notifications tend to come through here, mostly financial aid notifications. Don't recall any others I've seen besides financial aid, but this is not your email. Okay, want to make sure I emphasize that. Not your email. Your registration dates. Oh, thanks for the prompt. The advising hold and your judicial affairs hold are placed every academic year. I think I mentioned that, but this is just a reminder. Don't forget, every academic year. Your enrollment date, you should all have the same enrollment date, which is November 22nd. And even though you click on details to view the time, all of you on your first semester start your registration at 8 a.m. Moving forward after your first semester, you each get your own appointment date and your own appointment time. For your first semester, November 22nd, 8 a.m. tends to be the norm. I have seen some students who get a 9 a.m. appointment instead of an 8 a.m. So maybe click on details anyways, just to be sure. Okay. So once you've received our paperwork, you've looked at this, you check your registration holds, you check your to-do list, you're ready to start looking for some classes. You may be tempted to click on the search for classes button. I usually recommend to either click on the enrollment shopping cart or the enroll button on the left. And the reason for that is because the enrollment shopping cart and the enrolled button on the left will automatically select the spring term for you. Whereas the search for classes, if you don't pay close attention to which term you're looking for, you might end up looking for classes that don't match with the spring term. And so it has the wrong days, the wrong times, the wrong instructors, the wrong everything. So highly recommend click on enrollment shopping cart or enroll. So let's take a look. Once we click on either of those and we start searching for classes, you can do your class searches by subject. So I'm going to put in something there where it says subject. You want to leave the open, show open classes only box checked. It is checked by default, so just leave it there. Yeah, very few times would we recommend not to do that. So always click, leave that over there. Then you're going to click on additional search criteria. When you click on the additional search criteria, it expands the menu to give you all of these options at the bottom. When you see all of these options at the bottom, you want to make sure that you go down to the third one from the bottom. It says location, and that you select Antelope Valley. There's other ones in there that sound like it. It'll say CSUB, Antelope Valley, and there's another one that sounds like that. It's not. It's location, Antelope Valley, not campus, location, and just Antelope Valley. Okay, emphasize that. And then you can click the search button to look for it. So in the subject, this is where you would put business, child, adolescent, family studies, criminal justice, whatever your major is. And then the location, and then search. Okay. I have a full walk you down through it tutorial in case you want more information, but this is the cheat sheet version of that. For main campus classes, do know main campus classes are restricted to main campus students. I get this question all the time. It's an online class. Why does it matter? Each campus is given seats for classes based on their enrollment. So our classes are restricted to our students and their classes are restricted to their students. If there is a class that it's not offered at the Antelope Valley and you need it to keep your expected graduation, that's when we would recommend for you to submit an override request. But if you notice the and, so if it's not offered at AV, but you don't need it, we're not going to do an override for you. If you need the class, but it is offered at AV, you simply have to enroll in the AV section of that class. There are a few classes that are open to both main campus and AV students, and you're going to notice that in the enrollment requirements part of the course description. If it says main campus, is restricted to main campus. However, if it says main or AVC, and they don't mean Antelope Valley College, they mean Antelope Valley campus. I know it's confusing, but if it says or AVC, it means AV students can take this class. Even if the location is at main campus, the system will allow you to enroll in this class as long as you meet whatever prerequisites are listed for that class. Okay. When you do your searches for your upper division general ed classes, you need to make sure to leave the subject blank. As always, we're going to keep the checkbox on the open classes only button. It's checked by default. Again, leave it like that. Expand on the additional search criteria. Do the location Antelope Valley, same we did before. But the main things that change here is under course attribute, the second to last, you're going to select one of the following. It's either graduation writing assessment for your GWAR, the junior year diversity for your JYDR, or upper division general ed if you're looking for the upper division B, C, or D sections. When you select the upper division general ed, the course attribute value at the bottom gives you those three options. Now, remember, this is a class search. This doesn't know which one you need to graduate. It's just telling you which of these do you want to see. So just because it lists a B, C, and D section doesn't mean you need B, C, and D. Depending on your major, some of you don't need C, some of you don't need D, some of you don't need B. So it depends on, look at your advising paperwork to see which ones you need and then do the searches for them. Okay. Let's see. And then you can click on search and then it gives you the classes within those categories, not necessarily by subject, regardless of the subject, as long as they meet that particular requirement, it will show up. Okay. Again, I have more extensive tutorial videos on how to search for classes and how to validate classes if you're adding them prior to your enrollment registration date. If you are enrolling or if you're meeting with an advisor after November 22nd, just add the classes. There's no need to validate them. Just go ahead and put them in. Worst case scenario, we might recommend changes. But if you're enrolling the classes, most likely, if you're able to enroll in the classes, it's because they are the right ones. So we can talk about your specific classes at the time of your appointment, but don't be shy to do your class searches and to even add classes prior to meeting with an advisor. We want you to try it so that we know what we need to address when we meet with you, as far as like explaining something further or correcting something, whatever the case may be. I have a couple of links in here that might be useful, the appointment request and the override request. And then you can subscribe to the channel if you want to get alerted whenever I put up a new video. Usually, whenever I get multiple questions on a specific subject, I end up posting a video about it. I don't post videos every week or anything like that. Prior to your advising appointment, please make sure you review all the advising paperwork with the course requirements that we send you. Make sure you check your units, make sure you watch any tutorial video that you feel you need more information on. Search and add classes to your shopping cart or add them if it's after November 22nd, add them to your schedule. We hopefully will clear all the holes that we can as far as advising is concerned. You will have to clear probably the financial agreement, again, acknowledging that you understand what tuition fees are. I'm not sure what other holds you would have at this time, so it's probably that one. Make sure you write down your questions. It happens a lot when we're meeting with the students. They forget what they wanted to ask. Write them down. It just helps us keep that conversation going and making sure that you understand your requirements towards graduation, which is the ultimate goal of your academic advising. Set an appointment reminder. This happens a lot. If you miss your appointment, you might have to wait a week or two to get an appointment again, depending on how busy the schedules get, especially upcoming with the holidays. So set a reminder for your appointment. Don't forget it. Read your information, and we will see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye.